Hello.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I know we have a few people still trickling in, but we'll get started. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emily Blair, and we have an incredible panel of amazing women who are executives in the creator economy speaking with us today. We are going to have a great conversation on the creator economy, redefining brands, belonging, and influence. So I'm so excited to introduce all of these women. Instead of me giving their bios, I thought it would just be better for them to share a little bit about who they are, what they're working on, because it seems to change in real time because they're just all entrepreneurs and multi-hyphenates. So if you guys can give us a quick, very brief intro, would love that.
Hello everyone. My name is Wana Opera. I'm a digital and a brand strategist, and I'm also focused on trend forecasting lately. So my work it's about digital from the consumer to the influencer marketing and to the brand perspective as well, mixing them together.
Nice. I'm Trista Crick, co-founder of the Daily W Sports. We're a women's sports media platform that covers women's sports the way that typically men's sports are covered. I'm also a creator and do some other analyst work for sports. So really mixing sports and comedy together, and that very tropey word of storytelling, we do that as well.
I'm going to steal her mic. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Woo! I'm Cindy Steele. I am the executive director of the And Beyond Creator Studio within GMB Digital Management. So we are kind of an in-house production studio creating new series and developing IP with our content creators.
Amazing. Okay, Cindy, we'll start with you. I would love to know, content creators used to be literally just people who created content, right? And now creators are thought leaders, driving culture, like starting conversations, actually creating influence. Where did that transition happen? And how are you guys staying ahead of the curve there?
That is a great question. I would say that transition happened, and just to give some background, I spent most of my career in television, and then I switched into more of this brand and creator space because of this reason. I think audience attention shift, and with, I hate to say this, but I guess with the younger generation, they're consuming their content and their focus is really on social media. It was less so in the television or traditional media space. And I think when that audience attention shifted, that's when creators really shifted from just making content to really being shapers of culture. Because I think when the audience shifts, the brand money shifts. And I think that drives a lot of where, attention, time, and growth happens. So.
Trista, for you, I think a lot of, the audience has gotten smarter, right? People can tell when something is authentic, when it's transactional. How do you, both as a creator and then someone who understands the back end of it, select partnerships that have that authenticity? And what's the witness test to see if something really feels like a good fit?
Would I do it for free? Would I use this product if I wasn't getting paid to say that I was using this product? Do I feel comfortable putting this on my feed and diluting what I'm already doing by introducing a new brand or a new voice to my audience? Are they going to get tired of watching my content because I'm shoving something down their throats? Pause. And if no, then keep the conversation going. And I think being really intentional about who you work with, knowing that no one wants to be sold, right? And that is something that as soon as you feel like you're being sold, you start to tune out everything that voice has to say, because none of us want to be lied to.
Yeah, no, it's very true. The way we consume news has changed. The people who are giving us news has changed. Oana, where for you did you see that shift between how people are engaging with, more digitally native voices rather than traditional mainstream media voices?
Amazing question. I think it all starts from trust, and I feel that we are in a landscape when people don't trust anymore, what used to be trustworthy, big TV networks, organization, governments, and I think this is an amazing opportunity for content creators since they have this engagement. So I think it's shifted with this trust issue, let's say, and now in digital, I feel that if you have a real authentic connection with your community, of course you have engagement, and it's a transfer of trust that you can have on different topics, not only in brand partnerships, but overall. So I think it's switch also like with the trust overall, but also in the medium. Like mainstream media is very transactional. You can have a conversation, but in social, for example, it's all about the input. So you have real engagement. It's a conversation. This also shapes and creates trust, after all.
I'm going to address the elephant in the room, AI. I think that a lot of people are fearful about how AI can shift every industry, especially for creatives. It can, be the first to come for a lot of media-driven jobs and opportunities for brands and creators alike. How are you guys, approaching this new wave, and like what is exciting to you? What is still maybe something that you misunderstand or that your clients or co-creators misunderstand? I think it'd be interesting to hear like all of your perspectives based on what you do about how AI is maybe optimizing or what you're still learning about it.
So the question is, how is
It was a loaded question. It was me kind of venting about AI, but also I just would love to hear like your takes about AI. Just like roll with it.
my hot take on AI? Ooh.
In terms of the creator economy.
In terms of the creator economy, I will say my hot take is I do not want to lean into it too much, because I do think, to your point, if you use AI more, if you're using it maybe as a tool, totally understand. But I think if you use it too much, you're losing that trust. You're losing authenticity that you have spent so many years creating with your audience. So from my side of it, as I'm not a creator, but we do a lot of production for creators, I don't see us using AI that much. And I think that it will keep us separated from something that has the human touch. I think that's going to become something that is very sought after, and something that's very noticeable is having that human touch, having something that feels very authentic, true, and homemade. It's that same feeling of getting a homemade cookie versus a slice and bake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, 100%, right? Like you see a lot of this content that's getting made and you can tell the AI wrote it. And it's not this, but it's this. And once that happens, everybody can start to see it. If you use AI, you're like, oh, well, that's trash. They're clearly not thinking for themselves. They don't have that creativity within their soul. And so we were at an event last night, and there was a woman who said that they have AI script out little news bites, send them to creators. The creators have no idea, no connection to the actual topic at hand, and then they send it over to the production team. They do the, on-camera talking head thing, and then they spit it out in a million different places. I think that shit's trash. I think like we need to do stuff for ourselves. If you're storytelling on a broad level and it's complicated and you really want to have an arc, then use AI to organize your thoughts, but make sure they're your thoughts.
Yeah, you have to work with it. You can't let it fully replace you.
Imagine saying like I love AI after these answers. I think on the brand side, it's a good efficiency tool, like especially for reports, benchmarks, and everything. It's amazing, and the same for the creators in terms of efficiency. But in terms of idea, we had an amazing panel yesterday here, and we compared it with fast fashion and couture. Like, I don't want to see the fast fashion version of a script, of a caption. Like, it's nice, like, to have, like, maybe a body to brainstorm a bit, but I want that authenticity, and that authenticity can only come from you. So it can be a tool, but it can be the creator.
I also just have to say I love that your comparison is to fashion and mine is to cookies. But agreed.
Whatever works.
Same point, yeah.
Trista, I think like over the last few years, we've really seen this like big wave of sports becoming so mainstream in all facets of pop culture. And like, I wonder if it'll ever become like too saturated when like it once wasn't, to have like so many like incredible voices, especially women in sports, who are finally getting like the attention and the praise that they deserve for their crafts. Like, what have you seen like change and shift about how sports is like received and, appreciated in your industry over the last 2 years, and what do you think is coming next to stay competitive?
It's a good point. That's a good question. I think I challenge the premise as a whole, though. I think when you look at women's sports, there are stories not being told that are just the baseline that need to be told. You've got mainstream media networks and smaller creators that only cover the top 5 athletes in any particular sports. They don't go into detail. You've got, just a lot of white space where an audience wants more. And so we created the Daily W, and we are telling stories about science of women's sports, about not just the drama, not just the X's and O's, the medical element of it, and covering new leagues. And the appetite is massive. We would love more women creators and more people creating content around women's sports to collaborate with. But right now, you go into a locker room for the New York Liberty and there's 2 people covering that. I would say in general, we are so far away from covering women's sports the right way. And that's kind of why we exist.
Love that. Cindy, I think GMB does such a good job at representing creators who have just such authentic audiences. Like before I even met you, was following this girl, Chloe, from USC, and she's just such a comfort creator and like actually influential and inspiring, and probably has, 50 to 60,000 followers. But so how do you keep that feeling that she gives when you're watching her content with the rise of like commercial opportunities and commercial growth that can like almost outsize her platform, but keep that relatability where people feel like they're just chatting with a friend when they're watching her content?
That is something that we actually have thought about a lot when we were developing what And Beyond Creator Studio is going to be. And the answer is we want our creators to be the creatives. We don't want to, take what they have built and tell them how to do what they already know, what they are already doing. So really just putting the trust in the fact that our talent know what resonates with their audience. They know, they've built their audience for many years in a way that they know and love them, and we're not trying to change that. We don't want to tell them how to say this line. We don't want to give them a script that's not authentic to them. So yeah, I think it's really just keeping the creators as the creatives for their own platforms, and then helping support that versus telling them how to do what they already know how to do.
I love that. Oana, you do such a great job at, you've really invested and doubled down in investing in like the next generation of talent, like Gen Z. You've worked with a lot of collaborators that are younger. Oana's here today. I think that's like in Gen Alpha, sorry, like that's really what's next. Like I think that when people have imposter syndrome, to me, that's just silly because there's people who are 13 creating billion-dollar companies. Like, what do you see that's so exciting about Gen A? And like, what do you feel like people don't really understand yet about like what impact they'll have?
The most interesting thing is that they will be very, very private because they were born with their phones like this ever since they were a baby. They already have like maybe Instagram, social platforms, or social media. It's something they take for granted. And what make them to do is like, for example, to have a more private persona, to have Finstas, private accounts, to use avatars and no pictures. So it's really interesting to see how brands will connect with people like this, because it means that maybe they will shape more private niche communities. The conversation, the way of communication will change. And I think this is something really, really interesting to watch.
I'm curious what you both think about this also, from your backgrounds.
I was just about to ask, how do you collaborate when so much of brand identity and brand collaborations are trying to get into the intimacy or the personal life of a creator, and then you've got Gen Alpha who essentially wants to keep everything private?
Exactly. It's amazing, the contradiction. It's like it's the generation that hates advertising more but loves brands more.
They're a little hypocritical. Not all of them, but sometimes it's like,
I think advertising it's redefined, so you can find the sweet spot. Like everyone needs to have some idols, let's say, or some models. And brands now, they have this power. So if you manage to have like a strong message, I want to be associated with your brand. Of course, I'm going to your brand event, even so like you're not a big brand. You have like many followers, less followers, you're a niche. If I feel that I'm connecting with you, I'm going to be there. So maybe smaller fan base, but the fan is still there.
But are you saying that a lot of the Gen A are creating accounts that are more private?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think brands are going to want to work with them? I guess that's where I get
as creators,
yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the micro creators are also very valuable right now, because the classical way of working with influencers also needs maybe a bit of reinventing. Like a lot of creators that manage to get big, sometimes they forget to create content and they create more campaigns. it's something I see on my market, for example. And I feel that smaller content creators can have like more personal series that are easily to collab with brands.
Agreed on the micro creator part. I guess I was saying, to me, micro creators are still being open with what they share. They aren't necessarily being private. And I think, agreed with micro creators, I think they actually a lot of times have a more engaged audience because they're connecting with them more personally. But that still comes from a place of opening up and letting them in and connecting to them and talking to them, versus if you're saying a Gen A is shutting more of that down. I would predict that brands wouldn't want to work with that. As
Okay,
much.
okay. I have a personal example. So
Please,
I
please
know
share.
it's something we can see, we can predict. Where, for example, like I was invited by a brand at Fashion Week. I didn't have like that many followers, but the brand told me like, yeah, you're the right persona for this brand. I can see that you're the right fit in terms of style and everything. And for me, it was like, but I don't have the numbers. They didn't pick like bigger numbers from my country.
Did you post though?
Yeah, I post.
I
Yeah.
think that there might be some like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot of overlap maybe between like micro influencers and Gen A. That maybe is what we might see. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. No, it's interesting that there's like different opinions and conversations happening. I guess based on that, what is most exciting to you all about the next generation of this industry and like what's coming next?
Oh, okay. I think the thing is so cool is, I started trying to break into traditional media, right? And so I wanted to work at the ESPNs. I wanted to work at the NBCs. I wanted to work at all of these places that I thought would be kingmakers to give me a platform and an audience. And when I started in social media, it was designed to be, hey, look, if you give me your platform, I already have proof of concept. I've built an audience that shows if I get your audience, that will work. That will be an ROI for you. And then what I found out is actually they need my audience. Their audience is declining. And so over time, then you say, well, if I have the distribution platform, which is Instagram or whatever other social platform that we have, and you've got Gen Z, Gen Alpha reading carousels versus articles, we're the publisher. So now you're able, and people are able to create, like you said, these billion-dollar businesses off of the back of creation instead of a big business like Fox or NBC or whatever, in whatever niche that you want. It's an unlimited possibility for wealth and also, like you said, shaping culture. What we do online then translates onto linear, then translates into real life, and then translates into trends. And I think that's fucking dope.
No, it's really cool when you look at it like that. Like it is a built-in business, built-in audience, like a built-in aesthetic, everything. And it's like you just invest in that and it's like a one-stop shop.
Right.
I was saying clock it because that's what I learned from the younger audience.
I've learned that from
Doing
them
that,
too.
right?
Saying, yo, she's
Okay.
young, like stop cussing.
Oh no, I was trying to be cool. No, I would say the thing I'm so excited about, and coming from TV where there was so much red tape to get anything moving forward. It took forever. It took 1 million people to go through. It took 1 million approvals to ultimately, most of the time, get a no. It has been so exciting, and just in our first few months with the Creator Studio, we've already had 2 projects fully move forward into production, and now we're in post. And I'm like, that is unheard of, to be having the freedom to truly create something and not really have like as many barriers to water down what you want to do and what the creators want to do. So creating things and just being able to do it and move forward and have a great idea and be like, great, let's do it. And there are now platforms. Creators are the new networks. They are the new distribution. It's incredibly refreshing and very exciting.
Why is it faster? Do you feel like there's just more like you have more autonomy and you can have the urgency that you have rather than going through the ladder?
I think there's a few reasons why it's faster. I think in traditional media, if you're dealing with some of these kind of big networks that have been around forever, there is such a process, right? And there's just more people involved, and in the creator space, especially with what we're doing when we're working directly with creators who have already built platforms. I think a lot of times, like, and I'll say this, we aren't dealing with networks on our content yet, but that we're looking at as like a second window distribution opportunity. For now, brands really, like, they trust the creators and they're like, this is your platform, go for it, they're looking at different metrics than networks were looking at. They're looking at how many eyeballs can it reach, not necessarily like what is the story arc of this episode. Because I think creators have done a really good job at creating content that already kind of covers those bases. And yeah, I think really the speed comes from having direct to platform distribution.
So interesting.
Really quickly, just to add on to that, when you make a video or you're doing something even on social for a place like NBC, they need 3, 4, 5 people to say yes to it. And then they have notes. And then they have, actually, can you film it this way? Can you back up, do this way? So the speed, comes from eliminating all of those people that have opinions that you need their sign off in order to get something done.
Yeah. And what about you? What's most exciting to you?
I have I don't know, maybe like a more philosophical take. I'm like, is the future of social offline? Because I feel that we are trying to get more and more authentic, from the TV production to the carousel post. I'm really curious, actually, what's next. But I'm also excited to see that what everyone is wanting, it's something real, a real conversation. So I think technology will have a huge impact on defining how this is going to happen. But I think this is the next in social, like more authenticity.
That's a good point. I think so much now is translating what's happening on social to in-person events. Like, can you get people to show up and put real butts in the seats where you see eyeball to eyeball? Can you get people to buy merch from you? Can you create that connection where it's really easy and free to watch something on your phone when you're doom scrolling? Can you actually get somebody to get up off their ass and get there?
That's the real engagement.
It's a really, really, really good point. Few rapid fire questions. What is one brand that you think is doing a lot really, really well right now, and one creator that you really admire right now?
I'm going to shout out 2 brands that we're currently working with who have been wonderful, Adobe and The League. We have a new series coming out in June. Check it out, The Candid Club. And then one creator, man, I have to think about that because we have so many wonderful talent that G&B represents. So come back to me with that question.
I think I was thinking about Cetaphil. They've been working with a bunch of dermatologists, and I'm getting older. I turned 40 in May, and so thank you.
Not tell.
And they work with surgeons, skin surgeons, and they do all of these different, like, hey, if you have eczema, this is what you need. If you have dry skin, this is what you need. If you deal with, and that shit got me to buy, and then I didn't even realize it was a paid partnership. And they used all Cetaphil products in such a unique, trusted way. And I think when you use a doctor, that inherent trust is there. And then in terms of a creator, I love Keith Lee. I think everything Keith Lee does is hilarious. I think he's stayed true to himself. And like you talk about culture, every time he decides that something's a 10, it's wraps around the block at that restaurant.
In terms of brand, maybe I'm a bit biased, but I have been working with Netflix for a long time, and I like that we really connect with the fandoms. So having a good social listening and real insights from the fan of the shows is really important, and I think this is the key of the success of their activations and ideas overall. And in terms of influencer, I think the same, but I can have a very timely response. It's a celebrity, a singer, it's Dua Lipa, but her lifestyle, it's something you can see in the content. And honestly, I will buy anything because she has that authentic touch.
My creator that I love and admire, there are many, but I'm going to say Courtney Halverson, who is Pretty Little Fawn, because I think her page is just absolutely stunning. I think she really curates content so well. And even when she does brand partnerships, you're not feeling like you're watching an ad. You're watching something very cinematic. You're kind of diving into her romanticized version of the world. And if there happens to be kind of a brand within there, you're already so ingrained in her content that you're not going to swipe away. I think it's just really visual, beautiful storytelling.
Yeah, experiential, fan-driven. I love all of these points so much. Closing thoughts, what marketing trend would you say is officially over? We're leaving it behind.
My hot take?
Hot take, let's go.
I think it's just traditional ads. I really do think that the traditional commercial or something that you watch and it's immediately selling a product is going to go away, or at least it's never going to fully go away, but I think it's going to be replaced a lot with things that are more entertainment forward or storytelling forward, because we're at this place where both entertainment, marketing, and creators are now all working in one place.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. I think also working with creators on a one-off basis. I think, you know, in terms of like just doing a paid partnership one time, or I think, and it's not dead yet, but I think hey, I'm just going to hire Kevin Hart to be with us for DraftKings for $20 million. I think you're starting to see that celebrity influencing is not real. I don't think that the ROI is truly there. So I think that's on its way to being dead.
I think people are smart. Consumers can tell. And like I always say, like, you know, how do you turn virality into longevity? And that's a great example. What marketing trend is over?
Yes. The trend, it's like trends format. Like, I don't want to see the same template over and over again. I think we need original series. Like, they are so timely, and it's like, I don't know, again, the fast food, the cookies. I want to see something that is more original. So maybe this very short content trends.
Yeah, I love that. Those are all great thoughts. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us, and have a fabulous can, everyone.
It's fucking can.